All right. I may cuss, but I don't curse. We're going to get that situated first and get right into it. What we aim to do right now is to elaborate on the practicality of you being in a relationship in modern day times. All right. Utilizing astrology. Let me not forget that part. Astrology, y'all remember. So let's get right into it. So, diagram, please. Bang. Now, we're going to start with this wheel, right? This is the zodiac wheel without the symbology. So I'm going to present some type of one word characteristics in most cases to explain what the wheel is like. And the reason why I made this wheel for this video is because I want you to look at the astrology wheel as like a train that you can get on and get off. You know what I mean? And you will continue to do this your entirety. You've been doing this thus far, and now that you'll be able to look at it this way, you'll be able to prepare yourself to step into it instead of it just happening, right? Which you have no awareness. So let's begin. First house is you. Point blank, period. It's you. Now, this you is because I'm going to do like 2 laps at least so we can get in depth, right? Of what I mean by experiencing it like a train, and then it's just not over one lap. You get what I'm saying? Because planets transit and they continue to transit, and you continue to live. So you'll experience these things on multiple levels at multiple times. So right here, I got you because a lot of us enter this earth not knowing exactly who we are. And shout out to y'all who are super duper confident and y'all know, I know exactly who I am. I always did. Shout out to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you didn't. I'm just saying a lot of us don't really know. We're like trying to recall, trying to remember who we are because we got memories passed down through the umbilical cord, which rules the subconscious mind, which rules memories. And this was given to us at birth, but it's like our memory has been wiped clean from the last incarnation. So we're trying to a lot of the times recall exactly who we are. And when it comes to the ascendant, we are perceived by others more than we actually see ourselves. At least that's how it is in the beginning. So I teach this to all my clients. Like the ascendant is how people see you. You may not uh, particularly see these things in yourself. You may identify with your soul, which is your sun sign more, or even some of y'all, your moon signs, whatever, than you do for your first house. But they're going to see you, we're going to see you as your ascendant majority of the times. So this is you really discovering you in the first house. Then we get to the second house, which is you manifested. So what happens is as you become you, right? Let's say you start as a baby, of course, right? And then you start growing into who you are to become, you start realizing that you have things that suit you, things that you prefer, things that you have acquired tastes now. All right. So therefore, you participate in some things more than you don't participate in other things. You start developing a likeness for these things, that, and this, that, and the third, in contrast to other things. So now you have a sense of self. You are materializing as the self, because second house rules over materialistic attitude. Then we get to the third house, right? Third house is acquainted. Acquainted, meaning you are getting acquainted and familiar with the people who are around you in your environment, in your community. So it's like no matter what, the more that you exist in your community, the more that you travel around it, you're bound to say hi to your neighbor sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? You're bound to say what's up to the mailman. You're bound to say what's up to the bus driver that drives through that block every day. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's just like you see them so much, you become acquainted with them. It's important to know that these this house can also pertain to people who you converse with. Hi, bye, stop on a corner, speak with them real quick. You know what I mean? You may go to the supermarket, see somebody you see frequently, strike a conversation with them then and there. These are still acquaintances, and a lot of the times I've done videos on this before. We become subject to the people who are in our community, and they become our friends, or so we think they become our friends. When we get to the 11th house, I'll explain more what I mean by that. But it's important to know that these are your acquaintances and how to compartmentalize and make the difference between the two, between acquaintances and friends. So then we get to the fourth house. This is family, what I call family by default, meaning there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Your family is your family. The first house that you move into, that's the fourth house that I'm talking about right here. Those people are your family, whether they're relatives or they're not. The people that you grow up in a household with, that's your family. Then we get to the fifth house, where I have party and bullshit. I'm just keeping it a bean, yo. It's party and bullshit. Some of y'all made y'all babies in the fifth house, partying and bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't to slight you. And this is even why I got some words listed under that house, because not for nothing, right? And check this out. So I made a little joke about it, but the fifth house rules over children, right? But notice that, or if you didn't know, now you know, the eighth house rules over child support. So think about that. The fifth house rules over children, but the eighth house rules over child support. So why in the order of things in this train would you learn about children before you learn about child support, supporting children, right? It's almost like you're being set up. Just keep it a beam with you. So this is for those of you who had, you realize that you were a kid having a kid or a kid having kids. And then it's just like, oh, okay, here we go. There I go. Now you understand why. It's just like you didn't get no training necessarily. Not saying all of you didn't, but where's the training to tell you about this type of stuff? This is not taught in schools. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of people were partying and bullshitting and had kids in the process, and they learned about child support later. And what house comes before child support? The seventh house, where that thing about contracting comes into play, and that contract is marriage. You understand what I'm saying? This is why I said I'll be co-signing marriage just for that factor alone. But let's not skip too far ahead. Let's go back to service, which is the sixth house. This is where you are going to contribute to society in some type of way on a routine basis. All right. Now, I don't necessarily think that this may have been organically designed to be this way. I personally think, but this is an opinion of mine, that we were here to work on ourselves, as far as routine goes, like work on the body to understand health, because it also rules the sixth house. But for the sake of this video and the first lap on the train, if you will, we're going to limit this to service. Being in service to others, this usually deals with the workforce, right? Sixth house is going to be largely stated by astrologers to be the workforce. Then we get to the seventh house, which is contractor. Notice I ain't put marriage because I want people to understand on this first lap that you may not want to rush into getting married for different particular reasons. I'm sure that you can guess, but let's keep it limited as a contractor, because this lets you know that there's something other than the workforce. All right, there's another way to get paid. So when you're looking at the contracting thing, it's like, oh, it's just me and you, my own schedule. I get to design my own schedule. You know what I'm saying? And so, help has been masked for years as like, do my laundry, cook for me, you know what I mean? Play with my balls, treat me nice, and, those things. Have my babies. And that's cool, but please call her a nanny is pretty much my point here. You understand what I'm saying? Get a contractor for a nanny if that's how you plan this out. But like I said, traditionally, I guess you could say, people have put the seventh house as marriage for traditional reasons. Now, when we get to the eighth house, I just put the word together. This house is so deep, like I could just continue learning about the eighth house. But it's so deep, there's so much going on in the eighth house. But what I need you to know is that means that you're together with someone, some entity, or something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mate, a partner, but it could be. We're going to get to that on the second lap. But as a matter of fact, now let's get to it on the first lap, right? Let's imagine that in the seventh house you did get maybe married, or you got a partner, common law marriage, however it goes. And you realize, okay, we're in this together. It's us, babe. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing this and we're deep in. You know what I mean? Because of everything that the eighth house consists of. All of the especially the financial things, the assets, the shared assets. You and your partner's earning potential is there. So if you're not in a relationship, you want to understand, well, what is the earning potential of the company that you're in? What is the earning potential of the person that you're contracting out with when you are able to set your own schedule and get out of the workforce and do a trade or something and do side jobs or just independent contracting work, right? You want to know those things when you're being in the eighth house because you're in this together, baby. You in this together. Now, the ninth house, I put a whole sentence. There's got to be more to this shit. Yeah, I put it all there. There's got to be more to this shit because when you come out of the eighth house, if you do, right, you start to realize like, okay, there's an ending to some things in life. And you've learned things, you've learned the process of things, especially when you come out of the eighth house learning about finances and stuff like that. You might feel like you got slighted. You might felt like you didn't get enough compensation for what it is that you provided for the people that you were involved with. You may want to say, well, man, why do I always have a boss? Why do I always have to do this? Why do I always have to do that? Why do I have to spend this much time here doing this for other people when I have my own life? So that's where the ninth house attitude comes from and says, listen, there's something else that I need to be learning or something else that those people know that I don't know, and that's not cool. I want to know too. That's the ninth house. And we could talk about education there. Yeah, I'm gonna say it now. All right, so and this is a good reason to put this there because I seen a video not too long ago, I think, and it was relative to somebody saying how people with higher educations are just complete idiots, right? And of course, I'm gonna stand up and represent for the people who got higher education, but I believe even if I didn't, I would still have something positive to say about this. But here come the facts. These are the facts, right? So it's the stats say that people with high IQs, which are intelligent people, labeled as intelligent people, are more than likely or more than the average person bound to go and seek for higher education in whatever field they choose to go into because their brains are already wired to absorb information and process it in a way that it makes sense to them, and they just love to deal with things like that. So, on the contrary, people without higher IQs do not have the higher average intelligence as the next person can obtain intelligence or they obtain higher IQ scores after obtaining higher education. So do with that information what you will when it comes to higher education. I just think that a lot of people realize the price tag that comes on getting higher education in these days, especially. And I think they also motion that to a lot of people who don't utilize the degrees that they obtained. But I can tell you many instances of where an education still does a person a lot of um, good in life, even if they don't utilize it. But I think the most utilized reason why people with higher education are idiots is because they may become arrogant, right? Like, I know all of these things, I know this, that, and the third, and then they become assholes. They forget how to speak to people and stuff like that. Now, the person that did the video, they didn't detail it at all. They just said people are idiots. You know what I'm saying? But all right, if you will, it is what it is. But I'm telling you the astrology of it, right? Eventually you're going to want to know more. You're going to want to know the things that the other people are not telling you because you're going to want to start going your own route when you reach the ninth house. You could be coming out of a divorce or entering a divorce in the ninth house because it rules over the judge's decision of like the separating of two individuals from the eighth house, supposed to be together forever, baby. Yeah, okay. Sometimes it doesn't end that. Well, shit, I can get the stats on that too, but I'm pretty sure y'all heard them. So the ninth house rules over that too. So people just be like, yo, it's got to be more to this shit. The church duped me. They told me, marry young, do it this way, do it that way, tax breaks and this and third. And then you end up miserable and you be like, hold on, wait a minute. I need to learn something new here. So I had to spend a little extra time on the ninth house. Let's get to the 10th house. And I was right. You were right that there's got to be more to this shit. And when you found out, it applied to your career. Because just think about it, right? Let's say you in a career for 10 years You want to go for 25, 30, and management comes and says, well, in a conference, yeah, you want to raise and everything, but your credentials don't suggest that we should pay you as much as so and so and such and such. And you be like, what? What that mean? I got my GED or I got my high school diploma. No, that's not what we're saying. They got an associate's. Will has a bachelor's. Shannon has a master's. You understand what I'm saying? And then you're gonna be like, oh, that's how y'all playing? Like you might even call it discrimination at first, depending on how your perception is. But when you put it in all perspective, yeah, initially you might think, oh, it's just a piece of paper. You know, those people are idiots. But they're not playing when they come to you and they tell you that, oh, you want to raise? Yeah, all right. You want to get paid as much as them? Go learn some more. Because so far, we've trained you how to do this job. So, I mean, are we throwing that in your face? No. But you want more money? Go learn something that the company doesn't know and come back and have that talk with me after that. So you can see how you excel in your career with a higher education. There's stats to prove that too, that people with higher educations earn more income later on in life. But again, I'm not trying to throw this in your face. I want you to understand the astrology of it. The ninth house with higher education precedes the 10th house for career for a reason. It's an order, y'all. It's a train. You understand what I'm saying? So, 11th house, right? Correct. I call this the sweet spot. Again, this is my opinion. It may differ for you, but I call this friends with benefits. I know we've heard that term before, right? And the reason why I call this the sweet spot is because of this. The first lap around this train, you may not understand, like I said, you may not understand yourself yet. You're stepping into learning who you are. You may not understand what it takes to partner up with someone and be committed and all of the above, what it takes to have a long lasting relationship or whatever it is that you got in it for. You are green when it comes to that because, again, you are trying to remember who you are. You're trying to learn this life thing as you go. You're pretty much winging it the first lap around. So you may had strong relationships, whether it was marriage or partnership, and it ended, right? And then when it ended, you got this list almost of things that you know not to do next time, right? Things that you know to do next time. Maybe you could have held the person, maybe you could have held it together if you would have tried more in that area, right? So, in that contract, which I'm gonna bring up another diagram to clarify or elaborate, should I say, on how this thing typically goes when getting in relationships. When you see it, you're gonna understand more why I'm calling the 11th house friends with benefits the sweet spot. Because when you're able to partner with somebody and they help you earn revenue or they help you bring your dreams and wishes into fruition, and you have this sort of detached aura from them at the same time, there comes a different level of respect. There comes a different level of, what I mean to say is, it doesn't have all of the, you can't leave, you can't do this. 11th house has freedom. It says merely and simply, look, you want to do what in life? Oh, word? All right, I'm going to help you because I'm equipped and I have the adequacy to do that. Therefore, I will. That's a friend. Some of y'all ponder on this. How many of y'all got friends that you've asked them to do something for you or that told them that you want to do something and they can help and they didn't help? I'm going to let you ponder on that because that's a big question. You may be having an acquaintance that is not your friend, but you've been calling them your friend this entire time because of how we were raised or whatever the curriculum was when they was talking about what friends are and stuff like that. Or you might have grew up with them in your community all your life and you're just like, yeah, it's got to be my friend. I knew them all my life. Think again, because these friends with benefits can meet you today, right now, and do the miraculous for you and put you on a path and trajectory to your long thought about dream starts coming true because that person or these people start entering your life. So think about that. And I'm not saying that you and your friend got to go like get an LLC right now in order to make sure that they're a real friend or that y'all are real friends. I'm not saying that. But even a person who is not in business with you, who has assisted you in helping you do something that you dreamed of doing that you wish would come true, they are your friend. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of times, um, and when I say benefits, I mean, yeah, not just the money. It could be sex, it could be all of that. But just have this type of detached aura that says, yo, even if you're not with me, you still my friend. I want you to be good. I want to be sure that you're always good. You know what I'm saying? I'll still check up on you. You can still check up on me. I don't care if you married later on in life, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? And ultimately, even though this sounds cliche, sometimes you might want to marry your friend. You know what I'm saying? You might want to know that they're your friend first before you say, you know what, I could see myself being with this person forever. But if you get off the train early, or if you stay on the train in the seventh and the eighth house, you won't even know. You won't even know. You could think about it, you could imagine it, but you won't know if you don't get off into the next stop, if you don't take it to the next stop, right? So then I got the 12th house that says, leave me alone, / I'll give. This is the Pisces house. This is the 12th house. This is the end. And the reason why I put leave me alone, it rules over isolation, right? But this is when you go across the first lap of the train and you're like, man, it takes all of this. I had to go through all of that. I need some time to myself. I need some peace. I need some tranquility. I get it now. I get it. This shit wild out here. It's rough. It's chaotic. It's all of the above. But I need some time to myself so I can process this stuff. And not only that, realize where I can take better care of myself and not give so much of myself based upon this zodiac wheel to preserve myself without it being a health crisis or any type of crisis that puts me in some type of detrimental space. Let me grasp a hold of that. Let me revise, budget, whatever it takes that I need to do so that I can do that. And I'll give. I'll give. I might not give directly to people and stuff. I might be done with you humans. I'm just giving it a bit. Might be done with you humans right now because y'all kind of like make me sick. But I might give to my favorite charity. I might give to a dog kennel, a dog shelter. I might give to, you know what I mean? Anonymously to different food shelter, pantries, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But leave me alone right now. You know what I mean? I get it. We lifing now. Got it. Okay. So then the wheel comes back around, right? It's not over. It's not over. Yes, the 12th house is the end. Pisces is the end. Ultimately, but you're going back through these laps, right? You're going to have solar return after solar return, and many of it planetary transits and stuff like that. So you're going to be back to being you, right? You're going to start off being you. But this time it's all about you. It's all about you. All right, let me stop. But you start realizing that now. So now you start seeing things for what they really are. Oh, that person and those people look at me like that. You know what I mean? But some of those things may be wrong about you because you got a soul too. You know what I'm saying? Your ascendant is your lens. That's how you filter all of this zodiac wheel based on that sign that's in that house. And it doesn't mean that that is you. You're just using the goggles, if you will, to see your hologram with those lenses. But you may be more intact with your soul than you are your ascendant. And you might be like, yo, they don't really know who I am. But I'm gonna make sure that I live who I am now. I'm gonna be totally me now because first of all, I discovered who I am. I know who I am now. And despite people saying that they know me, I'm not gonna let that trip me up anymore because come to find out they didn't ever know me. But I know me and now I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna show out. It's all about you when it come around to the next ride on this train. Now you get to the second house again, you say, okay, I got some wealth now. I got some money now because you started off broke. Let's just keep it a bean unless you were, what do you call those? A nepo baby, or you got an inheritance of some sort. And shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Ain't no slight to y'all. But in the second house, if you wasn't born into wealth, now you should have some type of money. And if you don't have money, right, because it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes you get the life lesson and you go to the fluctuations of finances to where you learn the lesson of financial management. You say, okay, this time around, I know how to save, where to save, or I know why I'm going into the workplace. I know what type of money I need in the workplace. I know what I can live with, live without now. You know what I mean? I was just winging